Now it is my great honor and pleasure to introduce today's panel to you. LaTanya Richardson is the program supervisor for Kids Talk, and she has been with that program since 2001. She is a trained forensic interviewer and has worked with children and families for many, many years. Her expertise is working with children who have been sexually abused, trauma victims, or victims of domestic violence. Next, we have Ida Colquitt. She is a clinical psychologist serving clients in the greater Detroit metropolitan area. Ida has a BS in sociology from Tuskegee University, an MS in psychology from Walden University, and an MA in clinical psychology from the Michigan School of Professional Psychology. Ida specializes primarily on the treatment of adult survivors of child sexual or physical abuse and neglect. She also offers consultation in the treatment of post-traumatic stress disorder, and she is a member of the American Psychological Association and the Michigan Professional Society on the abuse of children. Next is Alana Coronado. Alana, thank you, is a forensic interviewer at Kids Talk. She has been with the program since 2004 and works in the capacity of child and family advocate as well as a forensic interviewer. Alana's previous work experience includes years as a case manager, interacting with at-risk adolescents, and facilitating group counseling. She has also served for several years as a victim advocate, working with the victims of domestic violence and sexual abuse. She has a Master's of Science degree in Criminal Justice from Wayne State University and a Bachelor's degree from Saginaw Valley State University. Kelly Kazor has been a forensic interviewer with the Wayne County Kids Talk program since 2003. She is trained with the Michigan Prosecutor's Office in 2003 and 2007. Detroit Wayne County Community Mental Health Agency, Prosecuting Attorney Association of Michigan Violence Against Women's Project. So she's a consultant with all of these projects. And the Midwest Regional Children's Advocacy Center and Michigan Department of Civil Rights have provided her with continuing education as well. She is a graduate of Eastern Michigan University. Next, Lisa Galizia is an intern at Kids Talk. She is currently enrolled at Eastern Michigan University pursuing her degree in social work. And Cassandra Sanzik is a child and family advocate for Kids Talk. She graduated from Baker College with a bachelor's degree in human services. She is currently an MSW graduate student at Michigan State University. Her passion is working with the children and families and looks forward to remaining in Kids Talk working with them. Please give our guests a very warm welcome.
Good morning. I'd like to thank you all for coming out this morning. My name is LaTanya Richardson, and I am the program supervisor. Kids Talk is an amazing program. We have a small staff, but we do big things in terms of making a difference in children's lives. Today, my staff and I will be talking to you a little bit about the history of Kids Talk. We would like for you to understand kind of where we've been, where we're at now, and where we're going. Our therapist, Ida, will be speaking with you today, and she'll talk to you about child sexual abuse. And we have one of our advocates who will speak with you as well, and she'll talk about the advocacy part of our program and kind of tell you about some of the services that we offer at Kids Talk. And then you'll get an opportunity to listen to our forensic interviewer, at least one of them. And she'll also do a mock interview, so you can really get an in-depth understanding of how a forensic interview takes place in our program. So for now, I want you all to sit back and relax because I need you to go on a little journey with me. I'm going to ask you all to close your eyes for a little bit. Kind of get comfortable. Relax. Take a deep breath. No cheating. Close your eyes. Now imagine for a second, you disclosed sexual abuse. You've told your mom about it, so now it's time to tell your story. Mom takes you to the police department and you go in. You're looking around and you see people, they're walking by. It's kind of busy. An officer says he needs to speak with you about what has happened. So he'll either take you on the edge of his desk, it's still busy, people walking around, or he'll talk to you in a room, kind of gray or a light blue, cement walls, and that's where you'll tell your story. Then after that, you'll talk to a social worker, Child Protective Services. They'll even come to your house, and they'll come in, and your family members are there, 5 or 6 of them, and everybody's doing their day. Then she'll ask you to talk about what has happened. So to get a little privacy, she'll take you in the room, but that's the room where the abuse occurred. Then after that, you have to talk to a prosecutor. So you'll go down to the prosecutor's office, and now you'll talk about what has happened to you. And in between all that, you'll go and you'll get a medical exam, and you'll talk a little more about what has happened to you. Open your eyes. I don't know about you all, but I'm tired of talking about it. Just imagine being a child and talking about that abuse multiple times. Retelling that story multiple times can be so horrific for some children. And every time they tell that story, they're reliving that abuse over and over again. It's a bit much. But this is why Kids Talk was created. We have highly trained forensic interviewers who uses the state of Michigan forensic interviewing protocol. I think we have the best. It's a night and day difference compared to the old way of investigating allegations of abuse. Kids Talk started June 1st, 2001, with the aid of Nancy Deal, who's a prosecutor over at the Wayne County Prosecutor's Office. She knew the importance of interviewing children and in a sensitive and appropriate manner. Soon after that, we were gracefully adopted by the Guidance Center. See, the Guidance Center has strong community ties, and that's what we needed to make this program work. So that's why we're with them today. And they have an array of resources that fits the needs of the population that we serve. Now today at Kids Talk, we've serviced thousands of children. We have 3 different locations, one being in the downtown Detroit area, close by the Children's Hospital. It's in the Hudson Professional Building. We have a location right down the street at our Southgate location in the Guidance Center. We have a satellite office at Grosse Pointe Park. And we'll soon be opening up another satellite office to service our Western Wayne community in Livonia. So I'm excited about that. Some of our future plans consist of becoming a full child advocacy center. And right now we operate wonderful. But we think it would be best if we brought all of those disciplines together. So that's what we hope to do in the future. There's so many benefits for bringing children to Kids Talk, so many. Some of them include less stress on the children and families. Decisions can be made without delay by the team members for the safety of the child and their family. Medical treatment can be identified quickly, right there. And referrals, if they're needed, we can easily get those, and our advocate could help, or members in the Kids Talk program. We also protect the rights of the accused because they're innocent until proven guilty, right? And it minimizes the trauma associated with multiple interviews. Now, Kids Talk coordinate with several agencies, including law enforcement, Child Protective Services. We work with the AG's office, the prosecutor's office, and we also coordinate with medical and mental health services as well. Children in need of these services can be referred properly with the help of our advocates in our program. Kids Talk really allow all of these disciplines to work together as a team. So there's no more the police officer talking to them, or Child Protective Services talking to them, or prosecutors. I mean, several different disciplines. They come together at our site, and they'll view the interview via closed-circuit television. And a highly trained forensic interviewer who's child-friendly will conduct that interview. It works. Right now, we interview children 12 and under who's made allegations of sexual abuse by an adult 17 years or older. Those are the children that we currently see. Now, we do look to open that up in the future. We conduct over 550 interviews a year. I think Kids Talk is the best place to bring a child if they made disclosure of sexual abuse. And if you're investigating a crime such as sexual abuse, and you're one of the disciplines that I mentioned, such as a child protective service worker or a police officer, I strongly advise you or recommend that bringing that child to Kids Talk probably be the best place for them to be. Now, the hardest part of recovery for the child is the mental and psychological aspects of that recovery. And if you can minimize the stress on a child, that will enable the recovery to go a lot smoother. So with that being said, I'm going to bring up our therapist, Ida, and she's going to talk to you a little bit about child sexual abuse. Thank you.
Good morning. According to federal statistic reports, in 2008, 1 in 3 girls will be sexually abused before the age of 18. And for boys, 1 in 6 boys will be sexually abused before the age of 18. Defining child sexual abuse is important when evaluating families for this pervasive social problem. First, a broad definition of child sexual abuse includes any forced or coerced sexual activity involving a child, any sexual contact between a child and an adult, voyeurism, flashing of sexual body parts, exposure to sex acts, to include exposure of pornographic material, and encouraging or promoting child prostitution. Research shows that some children, not all, may show signs of trauma after sexual abuse. Some common behaviors that may be seen are fear. The child may not want to be alone. They may have difficulty with separation or display clingy behavior. Guilt and shame. The child may become quiet. They may also blame themselves for the abuse. Confusion is not uncommon. The child may not see the abuser as a person who hurt them, and they also may continue to say that they even like this person or love that person. Depression. The child may become withdrawn. And then there's isolation, where they may not want to participate in activities where they interact with others. As professionals, being able to explain to parents that these reactions may occur may provide the parents with positive ways to help that child, as opposed to viewing that behavior as abnormal. When a child discloses sexual abuse, the effects may be felt internally and externally. The trauma of sexual abuse can be devastating if a child discloses and tells someone and they're not believed. Often, the non-offending parent may have a difficult time believing that their partner could commit such an act against the child. It's important that crisis intervention educates parents and offers immediate support through this crisis period. Advocates offer support services such as therapy for the child and even therapy for the entire family if necessary. Research has shown that experiencing trauma from child sexual abuse can alter the way that the child feels about themselves. The child may be responsible, they may feel responsible for their own abuse, which can lead to the guilt and the shame. The child may also act out the sexual behaviors. Boys often act out with negative behaviors such as fire setting, animal cruelty, and they often repeat the sexual abuse, often perpetrating on others. During the forensic interview, the child may disclose sexual abuse that the parents may not have been aware of with the perpetrator, and this can be very upsetting for the family, and they may not know how to handle that problem. The most important concern for us is to listen to the family. Parents should pay attention and seek help if they see behaviors such as the child displaying a heightened fear or anxiety. They may see increased tearfulness or crying, disturbed sleep patterns, loss of appetite, temper tantrums, especially in younger children, isolation or secrecy all of a sudden, and possible difficulty at school, maybe a sudden drop in grades. And also the child may display anger outbursts or mood swings. Counseling is recommended for families with a trained professional to support them through this crisis. Families who work with a professional counselor for the child may offset long-term emotional and psychological effects of the abuse. In the Kids Talk program, providing therapy for the child helps to develop constructive ways of dealing with the emotional impact. Resilience in children is often greater than we imagine as parents. Strategies for the therapist would involve creating a caring and supportive relationship with that child where they can regain a sense of power. One method that's widely used with sexual abuse survivors is trauma-focused cognitive behavior therapy. It teaches its participants to observe and change their thoughts and feelings. It's a brief form of therapy, and it may take 12 to 16 sessions, where the child learns to manage their emotions, their anxieties, and discuss their fears about the incident. Trauma-focused therapy for the child is centered around providing a safe place for them to process their experience. The therapist can help to reduce the distress that the child may feel. They can offer resolutions and also educate them about child abuse to avoid re-victimization in the future. The therapeutic setting provides a safe place for them to manage those emotions and also to create positive methods for coping in the future. Parents are also invited to join in occasional sessions with the child to explore their own thoughts and to also hear the child tell their story about the experience, which is important. It's equally important that the child and family create safety plans to prevent the child's harm to themselves and to also protect them from the offender. Our Kids Talk program also promotes healing for the family. This would include providing supportive services for the family by offering therapy services, not only for the child but for the family. We also offer group therapy for non-offending parents for support and education about child sexual abuse. When planning the goals of the therapy, we talk to the child and involve them in the decision making. That helps them to regain a sense of power and control and empowerment. Getting help does diminish the long-term effects. We feel that when parents' distress is reduced, the child's ability for good outcome increases. And finally, from the beginning of the forensic interview process, a partnership exists between the advocate and the therapist to provide the supportive services that the family may need. Our focus is to provide the families with a caring, supportive environment to help them through the initial effects of the sexual abuse. Now, I'm going to ask Cassandra to come up and talk about her portion as an advocate.
Good morning. When families come to the Kids Talk program, they often experience many things. They have disbelief. How could this have happened to my child? Anger at themselves, at the perpetrator, and they don't know what to do. They also feel helpless. They don't know how to help their child. Advocates facilitate many roles in the Kids Talk program. We support the family from the beginning to the end. Before the interview takes place, we talk with the family, including the child, and let them know what's going to take place. We explain the interview and answer any questions that we can before the interview starts. While the child is being interviewed, the advocates sit with the family. We talk with them. We explore their feelings about the situation and kind of find out what other things that they may need. We offer support to the non-offending family members before, during, and after the interview process. Once they leave our doors, they're not done with us. We follow up with them to make sure that they are okay. We listen to any concerns that they may have. We validate those concerns and address them. We identify the family strengths and build on them to promote future safety of the child. We inform the families. We provide families with information on what they're going to expect from law enforcement, Children's Protective Services if they are involved, and the prosecutor's office. We help the families understand what's going to take place during the investigation and what they're going to need to do. We give them information, and we let them talk with the officers and the prosecutor to get that information and any questions that they have answered. We provide resources to the families for counseling, medical, legal, domestic violence if needed. Any resources that they may need, we will provide for that family. We help the family to understand what may happen when the interview is over. They get to meet with the entire multidisciplinary team. We let them know that there may be some reactions of the child from having to be interviewed. Although, as Kelly will explain during the interview process, we end the interview on a very light note. But there still could be some emotional trauma that the parents need to be aware of, and we let them know that that is possible and how to help their child. We safety plan with the family. We let the family come up with a safety plan, and we encourage them to do so to keep themselves and their children safe in the future so that this may not happen again. We follow up with the families, usually within 1 to 2 weeks after they leave our program. We contact them to see, is the child in counseling? Do you think that's necessary? We will give them referrals. We do have our therapist on staff that we refer to. If a family is not getting answers from law enforcement or the prosecutor's office or Child Protective Services, we will call them on behalf of that family to get some answers for them. We understand that when families come through the Kids Talk program, there's more than just sexual abuse going on. There may be domestic violence, substance abuse, and in this economy, employment issues. We help the family with all of their issues, not just sexual abuse. We provide referrals for anything that we can, and if there's something that we don't know, we will try and find it out for them. We address any concerns that they may have, not just sexual abuse. The parents, when they come through the program, they want to help their child in the best way that they can. Often they don't know how to help their child. We make them understand that they did the right step. They contacted the proper authorities. They're at our program. They're getting help for their child. We supply information to the family to let them know how they can further help their child. We have resources. We offer them the counseling. We offer them the support groups. Many families, when they come through, experience the issues and fears that the children do. And as Ida explains the fears to the child and the reactions, we explain them to the parents. This is what the child may go through, and it's normal, and this is how you can help the child. We listen to the parents as they deal with their issues. We offer referrals, internal counseling, external counseling, therapy for the child and the family. We offer referrals to parenting groups and support groups. regarding sexual abuse and anything else that they may need. We offer other resources and information, any information or resources that they may need. And now I would like to introduce Kelly Kazar, and she will go over the forensic interview process.
Good morning. As you were told, I'm Kelly Kazar. I'm one of the forensic interviewers at the Kids Talk program. I've been with us since 2003. I love my job. I'll tell you that right off the bat. People say, you love your job. I love my job. I love my job because each and every day I get to meet a unique child. I get to sit with that child, and hopefully I get to help that child. Here at Kids Talk, we provide a child-friendly atmosphere in order to interview them regarding the allegations of alleged child abuse. Kids Talk is a fact-finding mission with that child. It's neutral, it's unbiased, it's comfortable. We try to make it comfortable for the family and comfortable for the child. Before the interview takes place, I meet the family, I meet the child, I meet all the people that the family might bring with them, so that the child knows who they're going to be speaking with, the family knows who they're giving their child to talk with. We may introduce them to the facility, the actual room that I talk to the child in. I also, and most importantly, I meet with law enforcement, Child Protective Services, and or the prosecutor's office and a victim's advocate to get their take on these actual allegations. We really depend heavily on the officer and most importantly Child Protective Services, because they may have already had some interaction with this family, and their insight is invaluable to what I do. The more I know about a family, the more I will know about that child, the better I can focus on doing a really good job at interviewing the child. During the interview, some of the things that take place is, number one, all of our interviews are recorded. I take very little notes because when I walk into the interview room with a child, the video is going, it's videoed from the beginning to the end, and that becomes evidence. It's giving to Child Protective Services, as LaTanya mentioned at the beginning, so that they don't have to go and ask those same exact questions. That doesn't mean that they're not going to ask the child questions, because obviously that's their job, but this gives them evidence of what's taken place. Also, the officer in charge gets a copy of the interview, and that's evidence to them. That is not something that's shared with anybody else because it is technically evidence. The interview is monitored by those people in the viewing room. Child Protective Services, the officer in charge, and the prosecutor's office has access to me via an earpiece. I wear an earpiece that's discreet. The child usually does notice it, but that way they can talk to me, inform me of things, have me ask questions. It just allows for a better flow for the interview. They can see everything I can do, and they hear everything that we're doing and see everything. I can only hear them. Each interview, like LaTanya mentioned, is used, we do follow the state of Michigan forensic protocol, but because each child is different, each allegation is different, everything has to be tailored for that child, because we do interview from as young as 3 and as old as 12. Obviously, talking to a 3-year-old is different than talking to a 12-year-old. After the interview, the parents and the family members are given the opportunity to meet with myself, the child advocate, family advocate, the officer in charge, Child Protective Services, and the prosecutor's office. My job at that point is just to let them know if there was some disclosure or if there wasn't any disclosure. The child advocate actually facilitates the afterward portion of the forensic interview. Today, I'm actually going to do a mock interview for you with Lisa, one of our interns. This is the forensic protocol. These are the steps that we follow to make sure that we are keeping the interview a true forensic interview, non-leading, non-judging, not biased. I prepare the environment depending on the child. The environment for a 4-year-old may be different than the environment for a 12-year-old. We may need to remove things from our interview room. We may need to add things to our interview room to make it conducive to talk to that child. I get to know the child. They get to know me a little bit. We have some ground rules. I complete a rapport building session with the child so that I can find out how they talk about anything that they do in their lives, what they do when they get up in the morning, what they did at the birthday party this weekend. Then we talk about the topic. I give them free narrative. That's the most important part of a forensic interview. Tell me more about what we're talking about. Then I need to go back and we do a little questioning and clarification so that I know I understand exactly what that child is saying. And then we do some closure. Cassandra alluded to that. We make sure that when that child leaves, that we've answered all of their questions and inquired as to what they're going to be doing. So they leave on a more positive note than maybe what they've come in. The scenario today that you're going to see between Lisa and I is Lisa is a child of approximately 4 years old. Her grandmother has come to the police station and reported that sometime over the weekend, Lisa's mother's boyfriend, James, has touched her private parts, and that this may have occurred on Friday when Mom was at work. So the hypothesis that I'm dealing with before I meet anyone on a piece of paper when I walk in is that I have a young lady named Lisa, 4 years old. She's coming in per the request of the officer and Child Protective Services, and that this child was inappropriately touched on her private parts. The first thing that I do after getting those allegations is I sit down and I think of what are all the other things that this allegation may be other than the truth. These allegations may basically be valid, but the person has misidentified the perpetrator. Maybe it's someone else within this child's life that has perpetrated on this child. And at this point, these are still alleged allegations. Some of the other things that I might think in a situation such as this is that the child has misperceived an innocuous or inappropriate but not abusive behavior as actual sex abuse. Some of the allegations may be valid, but the child has invented or been influenced to make additional allegations, maybe because grandma doesn't like mom's boyfriend, the child may not like this person for some other reason, and has actually made this up. The child is 4 years old. The child may be fabricating, may be embellishing, may be misrepresenting an account of what actually occurred to them. Or there was actually some touching, but it was a part of the routine hygiene, taking a bath, helping with bathroom etiquette, things of that nature. I'd like to now invite Lisa up to the stage, and we're going to do a little bit of what I do every day. Now, I've already met with Lisa's family, and I've gotten to know Lisa, and Lisa's in my office. It's so good to have you in my office, Lisa. Can you tell me your whole name?
Lisa Ann Giliazza.
Oh, and how old are you, Lisa?
I'm 4.
You're 4 years old.
Yes.
Do you go to school?
Yes, I do.
Tell me about school.
I get to play at school, and I have a friend. Her name is Alyssa. She's at school with me, and we get the snack at school.
You get a snack? Tell me about the snack.
Well, sometimes we get peanut butter and crackers, and sometimes we have to get carrots.
Tell me about the carrots.
I don't like vegetables.
Tell me about that.
I don't like to eat them, and they make us eat them for our snack. But
So you don't like carrots, but
No.
you like peanut butter?
Yes.
And crackers, okay.
Yes, I do.
Well, what do you like to do when you're not at school, Lisa?
I like to play with my Barbies.
Tell me about that.
I have the Barbie beauty salon, and I like to fix Barbie's hair.
And what else do you do with Barbie?
And I have lots of clothes. I dress her up, and then she gets to go drive in her car.
Tell me about Barbie's car.
She has a really cool pink car, and it drives really fast.
Really? How fast does it go?
Really fast. When I race it down the hallway. It goes really, really fast.
Wow, that's exciting. Is there anything else that you like to do when you're at your house?
I like to watch my videos, my movies.
What kind of videos do you like to watch?
I have Sleeping Beauty, and I have Snow White, and I have Little Mermaid video.
Little Mermaid. Oh, okay. So you like to watch the Disneys?
Yes.
Okay. Now, let's see. Now, you go to school. Do you have rules at your school?
We can't touch other people, and we can't hit anybody,
Okay.
and we have to be nice. We have to talk with inside voices.
Inside. Well, in my office, it's good that we use a little bit of a bigger voice because I want to make sure I understand everything you're saying today. Can you do that for me, Lisa?
Okay.
Great. Because I'm going to use my nice big voice and I want you to use your nice big voice, okay?
Okay.
All right. Now, do you have any rules at your house?
I can't run around,
Okay. What else?
and I can't shout,
Okay.
and I have to put my toys away.
So no running around, no shouting, and you have to put your toys away. Okay. Well, I have a couple rules in my office, and they just make it easier for us to talk today. Okay?
Okay.
The first rule and the most important rule in my office is that we tell the truth. Now, you're 4 years old, you go to school. Do you know the difference between telling the truth and telling a lie, Lisa?
Well, if you tell a lie, you get in trouble. It's bad.
Okay. Well, if I told you, Lisa, it's snowing in here right now. There's snow all over this table.
No,
Am I telling you the truth or am I telling you a lie?
it's not snowing. That's not the truth.
No. And if I said, Lisa, you have a black jacket on today, am I telling the truth or am I telling a lie?
That's true, because I do.
Oh, okay. And if I said, this is a little puppy dog, am I telling the truth or am I telling a lie, Lisa?
That's not a puppy dog.
It's not a puppy dog?
No.
Oh, okay. So the truth is what really happened. And a lie is something that did not happen. The truth is stuff that you've heard with your ears, saw with your eyes, smelled with your nose, tasted with your mouth, or felt with your body. Things that really happened, okay? And I will tell you the truth. If you ask me a question, I will tell you the truth, and I want you to tell me the truth, okay?
Okay.
And the second rule in my office is, if you don't know the answer to a question, it's okay not to know. I don't want you to guess. You seem very smart, and we talked about a lot of things, but I don't know everything, and you might not know everything, and it's okay not to know. You can just say, Miss Kelly, I don't know the answer to that question. I don't want you just to guess.
Okay.
So if I said, Lisa, what did I eat for breakfast this morning?
I don't know. I wasn't there.
You weren't there, that's right. What did you eat for breakfast, Lisa?
I had cereal.
You had cereal, okay. So we're going to tell the truth. We're not going to guess. And because this is all about you, you're kind of my boss today. So if I make a mistake, I want you to stop and correct me.
Okay.
Okay? Now I know sometimes grown-ups say, don't correct grown-ups. Don't tell grown-ups that they did, that they said something wrong, but that's your job today. Tell the truth, don't guess, and you get to stop me if I say something you know is just not right.
Okay.
So if I said, Lisa, you had that brother Diego, he lives in your basement, he's got the Jaguar, that little animal.
No, I don't.
Are you sure?
I don't have a brother named Diego.
Oh, okay. So you're going to tell the truth, don't guess, and you make sure that I understand everything you have to say. Because
Okay.
everything you have to say is important. That's why you're here today. I want to know everything about you.
Okay.
And you're not in any trouble. You didn't do anything wrong. And it's good to be here and talking to me today. And I'm excited. I'm learning more about you.
Okay.
So, you know what? I would like to start with, I need you to tell me everything you did from the time you woke up this morning to the time you've come in to talk to me. Can you do that for me today?
Okay.
All right. Start with when you opened your eyes. Then what's the very next thing that happened?
And then my mom said I had to get up and get dressed, but I didn't want to because I was tired. And then she took my pillow and she hit me in the face with the pillow and said it's time to get up. So I got up, and then I had cereal.
Okay.
And then I went and got dressed. And then I brushed my teeth because Mom said I have to brush my teeth. And then we came here.
And then you came here. So you got dressed, you brushed your teeth. Which one did you do first?
I got dressed first, and then I brushed my
You
teeth.
got dressed first, then you brushed your teeth, and you came here. Did you do anything else that you didn't tell me about?
Oh, I watched some cartoons this morning.
Oh, okay. You know what? When we're talking about things that have happened, I want you to make sure that you tell me everything that happened. Don't leave anything out. Even things you think might not be important, they might be important. So tell me everything.
Okay.
What it smelled like, what you saw, what it felt like, everything. Can you do that for me, Lisa?
Okay.
Awesome. Well, tell me why you're here today.
Because I told Grandma that James touched my pee-pee.
Tell me all about when James touched your pee-pee.
Well, he touched my pee-pee when we were at home.
And then what happened?
I peed my princess pajamas.
You peed your princess pajamas. And then what happened?
And then James told me to go into the bathroom.
And then what happened?
He got a wet washcloth and he wiped my pee-pee.
And then what happened?
And then he washed my butt and my legs and my feet.
And then what did you do?
He told me to go put some new underwear and pajamas on.
Okay. And then what happened?
So I went and I did that.
And you did it. What did you do?
I put my Little Mermaid underwear and pajamas on.
So your Little Mermaid underwear and your Little Mermaid pajamas?
Mhm.
And then what happened?
And then we watched Kung Fu Panda.
You watched Kung Fu Panda. Then what did you do?
Then I went to bed.
And then what did James do?
I don't know, I went to bed.
So you went to bed. Where did you go to bed at?
In my room, in my bed.
Who sleeps in your room?
Just me.
Just you. Okay. So you told me you peed in your princess pajamas, you went into the bathroom, and let's talk about when you peed in your pajamas. Where were you at when that happened?
I was watching TV, I was on the couch.
You were on the couch. Was anyone else watching TV?
James was watching TV.
And where was James at?
He was sitting in the big chair.
So James is in the big chair, and where were you at?
I was on the couch.
On the couch, okay. And where was your brother at?
He was in his bedroom.
He was in his bedroom. And what were you and James doing in the living room?
We were watching Kung Fu Panda.
Oh, and you were laying on the couch?
Yes,
And James was sitting
in the big chair.
in the big chair, okay. And then what happened?
Then I peed in my princess pajamas.
Okay. Can you show me where the pee comes out?
Down here,
And what do you call that?
my pee-pee.
Your pee-pee. Tell me again, what did James do when you went into the bathroom?
He took a washcloth and he wiped my pee-pee and then my legs and my butt
Any place else?
and my feet.
Okay. And did anything else touch your pee-pee?
No.
Okay. When he touched your pee-pee, tell me exactly what touched your pee-pee.
The washcloth.
Oh, the washcloth. What did it feel like?
It was warm and it was wet.
Okay. Did his hand touch your pee-pee? Did the rag touch your pee-pee or something else?
Just the washcloth.
Just the washcloth. Has James ever touched your pee-pee at any other time?
I don't think so. I'm a big girl. I can do that myself.
Oh, okay. Has anyone else ever touched your pee-pee?
Mommy, when she gives me a bath.
Okay. Has anyone else ever touched your pee-pee?
No. I
No.
don't think so.
So what we're talking about was in the bathroom?
Mm-hmm.
And I need you to, well, can you tell me just one more time exactly what happened when you were in the bathroom?
I went in the bathroom because James told me to go in the bathroom so that he could clean me up. And then he got a washcloth, and then he wiped me on my pee-pee and on my butt and on my legs and feet.
And on your feet. And then what happened?
And then he told me to get some new pajamas on.
And what did you do?
I went in my room and I got my Little Mermaid underwear and pajamas.
Okay. Is everything that you're telling me today, is it the truth?
Mm-hmm. Yes.
And everything happened.
Yes.
Did anyone tell you what to say today when you were coming to talk to me?
No, Mom just said I had to tell the truth.
Okay. Did you talk to anyone else about what happened with James?
I just told my grandma what happened.
And what did Grandma say?
She said that we need to talk to the police.
Okay. And did you talk to the police?
I just told them that James touched my pee-pee.
Okay. So you talked to the police, and then you talked to, well, first you talked to Grandma.
Yeah.
And then who did you talk to?
Well, then Grandma told my mom.
Grandma told your mom. Then you went to the police?
Mm-hmm.
And then who did you talk to?
The policeman.
The policeman. Did you talk to anybody else?
No,
Okay. Did I ask you everything I was supposed to ask you today?
I think so.
Did anything else happen that, I don't think we talked about when this happened. You're watching Kung Fu Panda. Grandma said you were with James. What day did this happen?
My mom was at work. I think it was Friday.
Did you go to school on Friday?
During the day.
During the day. Did this happen during the day, at night, or some other time?
It happened at night. My mom was at work.
Oh, okay. Is there anything else that happened that night?
No,
No?
I went to bed after that.
You went to bed
Movie
after
was
that.
over.
What happened when you woke up?
Mom was there, and I woke up and watched cartoons in the morning.
Okay. Did I ask you everything I was supposed to ask you today?
Yes.
And at this point, I have a hearing my earpiece in. And at that point, Child Protective Services may have some questions. They may want me to clarify something with Lisa. The officers may have some specific questions depending on what's been said. And that's usually my cue to them. Did I ask you everything I was supposed to ask you today, Lisa? And Lisa says yes. And I said, well, what are you going to do today, Lisa? What's your plans when you leave here?
I'm going to go to McDonald's.
What are you going to do at McDonald's?
I'm going to get chicken nuggets and french fries, and then I'm going to play in the playground.
Oh, and what are you going to do after that?
I don't know.
Okay. Do you have any questions for me, Lisa?
Why do you wear that earpiece?
So that the officer, do you remember meeting Miss Pam?
Yeah.
And Mr. Nash?
Yes.
They can talk to me and ask me any questions that they might have.
Okay.
But they didn't have any questions. And I just want to know.
Can you talk to them?
Can I talk to, well, they can hear us. Remember I told you about the video camera?
Okay.
That little thing on the wall?
Yeah.
Yeah. They could hear everything that we said today. So, but they didn't have any questions. So I think we're all set. Do you have any other questions, Lisa?
No.
Okay, well, let's get you back with your mom and dad, okay?
Okay.
And at that point, I would take Lisa back to her family. We would be joined by Cassandra, who would be sitting in with the family. Lisa, you can have a seat back there. Thank you so much for your help today. Yes, give a big hand for Lisa. After the interview, I would escort Lisa back to her family, and we would tell them we would be with them in just a few minutes. I would go back and meet with Child Protective Services and the officer. We would prepare the DVD that we had just created, have them sign for that. Then we would get together as a team with the prosecutor and Cassandra, and then we meet with the family. And that basically is what we do at Kids Talk. Does anyone have, I guess we're going to go back to LaTanya for a few minutes and then take any questions that you might have.
Thank you, Kelly. Well, I hope you all leave here today with a little something, a little more than what you came here with. Before we leave, I want to do a little poem for you all. It's called Scorned. So you can leave here with something animated, I guess. By me. As you look in the mirror, you will see a reflection of me. Disappointed, betrayed, trying to figure out, is this how life was supposed to be? Why wasn't I offered therapy? Abused and tormented, haunted by fears. Afraid to live life because my face bleeds pain and it's covered with tears. Now see, why did I pee in my bed at night? And when I got older, I refused to love my husband because it simply didn't seem right. Is this the life of those who are abused? I didn't get any help. I didn't get to choose. See, how can I remove these black stripes on my heart when everything I once believed in is now torn apart? Will you protect a child like me? Get me the necessary services so I can get back my sanity? See, I want to go to a place where I am treated fair. Talk to someone that I believe truly cares. So when you have to talk to a child like me, well, bring them the Kids Talk so they can get the services they need. Thank you. That's what the questions and answers.
Let's give another round of applause to our panel today. I have a lot of questions for you. Keep them coming. Our friends will bring them up to me. How do you get certified in forensic interviewing?
Here's the mic.
Right here. Latanya, why don't you come up here? You can talk from there.
Really what you have to do is go through a 2 or 3 day training, and we used to do it with the prosecutor's office, but right now you'll really get the training through PAM, and that's how you're able to be trained.
Who's Pam?
PAM is the Prosecuting Association of Michigan,
Okay.
Attorneys of Michigan, and they host the trainings right now.
Okay, thank you. The next question is, what are the signs of a child, male or female, that may have been sexually abused?
Well, some of the signs are withdrawn. You notice the child that was outgoing before and now they're suddenly withdrawn, bedwetting. Then they can become angry. They'll have anger issues. Some of those things. You want me to go on? Want to jump in? Feel like I'm on the hot seat.
The panel should join you if they have anything to add.
Anything else? You'll have children who act out. It's the list goes on and on. And that's why we have a whole sheet with a list of signs that we give our parents. So if they're displaying any of those things, we ask them to call us so we can set them up with counseling and things like that.
Is it possible to have that sheet that we might put on the VC website as
Yes.
part of resources?
Absolutely.
People can go to the
Absolutely.
website and see that sheet?
Absolutely.
Latanya, if you had to say the two most described symptoms that parents or family members say that's going on with their child, can you give us the top two?
I would say anger and withdrawn.
Okay, thank you. Next question. What if the offender is a parent and the child lives with them? Do they stay with the parent or are they removed?
That's not our call, but an investigation would have to be done with Child Protective Services. Keep in mind that the accused couldn't bring the child to the Kids Talk interview. But if everything goes in accord, that child probably would be removed or asked to go stay somewhere else until the investigation is complete.
Okay.
Because we want to keep the child out of harm's way. If they're making allegations against someone in the house, they need to be separated immediately.
Okay, thank you. What if I want to refer a child to Kids Talk? How would I do that?
Good question. Right now, we take our referrals through law enforcement and Child Protective Services. Those are the two disciplines that will call us to actually schedule a Kids Talk interview because we work with them to help them with their investigation. Now, if you want to set up therapy services, and if you meet our criteria, then you would contact us directly, and we can set up for counseling.
So does that mean any child mental health professional that learns of this can call you directly?
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Is that a change?
They can call us for the therapy services. If you have any questions, you can always call us. But we do offer therapy. There is certain criteria they have to meet in order for our therapists to be able to see them. Working with the Guidance Center, I think what Carol is talking about, you have to go through, is it CAU? Is it CAU or the crisis?
I just thought people had to go to the police station first. That
I thought
only
you were talking about therapy.
No, for a forensic interview.
Well, for a forensic interview, in order to get the ball rolling, they would have to go either to the police department and make a police report, or information had to be called in to Child Protective Services.
And if I am trying to figure out which police department I go to, how do I determine that?
It's the police department where the abuse occurred.
Thank you.
And if you don't know where the abuse occurred, go to the closest police department.
Great, thank you. Next question. How do you work with children who have limited verbal skills or younger children who are pre-verbal? You don't start till 3, right?
Right. You want to answer that, Kelly?
We do interview children ages 3 and up. If the child is below the age of 3 or is nonverbal, we are unable to interview them at this time because there would be no way to establish any competency, and that would fall really back to Child Protective Services and the police department to do an investigation without a statement from the child. If there's physical evidence of abuse, then that's something that they would have to use. But in order to get a statement from a child, they have to be verbal. We have interviewed children that are hearing impaired. We use an interpreter, and then it's interpreted, and it's still videotaped, and they basically go by what the interpreter has interpreted the child to have said. We also interview children that don't speak English. We have interpreters that provide for the Arabic community, Spanish-speaking community. We've had a few others, the Vietnamese community. We have all those available to us, as do, say, Child Protective Services and the police department.
Okay, thank you. I think people are wondering, are they that forthcoming and cooperative?
That is not what an average interview is. Obviously, children are there, they're very reluctant to talk. They may have been intimidated not to talk. They may not have the words to describe what has happened to them. An average interview takes much longer. The rapport building takes much longer. The things that are disclosed are usually much more graphic. That's not something we thought would be appropriate in this public forum today. But in a case where, worst case scenario would be that the child decides today is not the day they're going to talk. We encourage the people on the multidisciplinary team to reschedule and bring that child back. Maybe that child is tired, hadn't been fed, had been up all night. There's a lot of things that we need to find out as to why that child is reluctant to speak with us. Right. If we inform the guardians ahead of time, the child needs to be brought in at a time that's conducive, not nap time, especially when they're younger, not lunchtime. They need to be fed, they need to have a good night's sleep. We can always bring them in again. It's more important to have them comfortable and do it another day than to pressure a child to talk when they're not ready.
And I think you were all giving us just a flavor of what the different parts of the interview were.
It's a brief understanding.
Right. What a normal interview from the beginning to the end is usually about an hour. They could be up to 2 hours. It could be 25 minutes. Depends on the child, the allegation, the number of incidents involved. It could be like this child. It's just a misunderstanding, a play on words. Or it could be abuse that's gone on for 10 years. And in that case, that interview is going to last longer. We have to find out where this happened, when it happened. We're talking to a child. They may not have any concept of when this happened. We have to use, and I encourage you to all go to forensic training. Not just to be what we do, but forensic interviewing is helpful for anybody that interviews people, whether they be a child, teenager, an adult. It's a comfortable way in order to give that person a voice without pressuring them, without putting words in their mouth. So it's a good practice for anyone.
Right.
Thank you. We have a lot of questions. I realize you only go to the age of 12. What are your exceptions? Example, a 14-year-old with limited verbal expression.
That's exactly. We cater to children with disabilities. We've done someone who was 18 or 19, but with a mental capacity of maybe 4 or 5. So although we just go 12 and under, if an officer or a child protective service worker call us, and if there's a special service circumstance, we will accommodate.
Okay, thank you. Do you have any confidentiality issues or problems due to all of the agencies listening and getting the information?
We have not had any confidentiality issues. The DVD, there's a blurb on the back of it that states that it cannot be duplicated. We finalize it anyway, so they can't make copies. They know that that information is used solely for the investigation, so it's not to be given out. And they treat that investigation with what's the word I'm looking for? They know that they are not to give that information to anyone who's outside of that investigation. And being professionals, social workers, police officers, prosecutors, they have an ethical standard that they have to adhere to. So, and when we make that very clear when they come to our program.
Okay, thank you. Next question. Do the police refrain from interviewing the child and wait for Kids Talk to do the interview? That's the first part. The second part is, if the police heard Lisa's story first, would Kids Talk still do an interview?
I'll answer the second part first. When Lisa went to the police department, you notice she had just said her PP was touched. If the child fits our criteria, that should be about as far as it goes. There shouldn't be a forensic interview with the police department. So they would have brought it to Kids Talk because they wouldn't have had all the information to go off of. What was the first part?
Would they not do an interview? Would they wait and just bring her to Kids Talk?
Correct.
They would have brought her to Kids Talk. I hope they would have brought her to Kids Talk.
I think we're very lucky here in Wayne County.
yeah.
They've worked with Kids Talk long enough, and I'm talking from
Years.
Livonia to Rockwood, and including Detroit sex crimes, and the great child protective service individuals that we work with every single day. They know what we do. They know the protocol. We really don't run into those problems. Years ago when we first started, obviously, but
Not
today it's not. We all work together, and we're happy to do that.
Okay, thank you. Next question. For children that are older than 12, is there an agency or program that serves them with regard to sexual abuse allegations?
There is.
For the interview, I'm sure.
Well, for Wayne County, unfortunately, if they're over 12, then the investigation will be done by the police officer, child protective service worker, or anyone that needs that information. Now, when you go to other counties, Macomb, Oakland, they go all the way up until 17, so they do have those services in place. We will, once we become a full CAC, but for right now, because we have a small staff and we couldn't handle because Wayne County is huge. Once we become a full CAC, we'll be able to handle more, and we'll bring all of the children into our advocacy center.
How frequently do the Kids Talk staff testify in court hearings. And I'm wondering, with that, can you talk a little bit about the DVD and how that works?
Go ahead, Kelly.
Out of 250 interviews I performed last year, I was probably subpoenaed 5 times for those to the Attorney General's office in tender years hearings. For those of you that don't know what that is, it's a child under 10 can't testify on their own behalf as to where they're going to be, whether or not with the family, in foster care, etc. One of those cases was a criminal case, and I end up not even testifying because they pled. Wayne County has such a high amount of criminal cases every year that the majority of cases that we see end up being pled out, and we do not end up testifying. Once the DVD is entered, if you're doing the forensic interview the correct way, there's no arguing against what's on tape. It's the child's words. If you don't lead them, if you do what you're supposed to do, it speaks for itself. It is what it is. It's the child's testimony, and there's really no need for us to be there.
Okay, thank you. Next question. How do you work with, or have you ever worked with children who are developmentally delayed? I think we've covered this. Development's delayed and may have limited. I think we've covered this.
Yeah, we have. We have.
You know, just to expound on that a little bit, the pre-meeting with the parents is very important, and or CPS, because they may have had involvement with this child before. The parents will tell you, my child is autistic, my child is on medication. These are the things to expect. If we do our homework with the family and the guardian, we'll be prepared for those things, those visual cues that child may give us. For an example, I had a child that when he sat up on his legs and he rocked back and forth, that meant he needed to go to the bathroom, but he was not the child that was going to tell you that. Those are things those are the questions that we need to ask of those parents. Mm-hmm. Does your child do anything that we need to know about? Is there any indication that that I'm making your child uncomfortable? If they're autistic, what is their personal space boundaries? We need to ask those questions, and I think our child and family advocates do a great job of meeting with the family and knowing what to expect of that child, so that we're sensitive to each and every one, because every child is different.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, next question. Are there services that you know of available for a non-offending parent whose child has died as a result of sexual abuse? There are other children and family members there's a two-parter here, so let's take that one first.
Are there services that I know of for a family
Member, the non-offending parent
who's had a child?
Whose child has died as a result of the sexual abuse?
It all depends on the services that's needed. I don't know if it's therapy, I don't know if it's housing, I don't know if it's legal.
So in the process, though, you find out from the family what resources.
And as Cassandra answered earlier, if we don't have that information at the guidance center, we research and find that information for our families.
So one could imagine that there would need to be some grief counseling for this family member.
And the guidance center has that. We have so many services within the guidance center. We always start there. But if there's something that's not at the guidance center, we go out and we research and we get that information.
Okay. Are other children or family members going through the interviews, or is it just the child that has made the allegation?
Sometimes we have to interview other children in the home because they may have seen something, they may have heard something. So oftentimes if there's more than one child in the home, we'll interview the one that made the actual allegations, and then we'll interview the other children, just as a precautionary and to be safe rather than sorry, because a lot of times they've seen something that can help corroborate what that child has stated during the interview.
And would that other family members, other children be on the DVD as well, or just an interview?
We DVD record everything that we do at Kids Talk.
Okay. Thank you. Next question. When it's known that a child has had an interview at Kids Talk, would there ever be a situation or scenario in which you would recommend the therapist view the interview, the DVD, I'm assuming that's what they mean, after it's done? If yes, why? If no, why? So what they're asking is that the child is with the therapist knows there was a Kids Talk DVD made. Is there the possibility of that therapist viewing that interview?
And I can answer. Typically, the therapist would not view the DVD if they are working with the client. It doesn't make it more difficult to see the client, but also we really don't need that information to be able to treat that client.
Keep in mind as well, the DVDs are immediately handed over
Right.
to law enforcement and child protective services, so there wouldn't be a DVD necessarily for the therapist to view.
Thank you. Next question. Is it possible for the child to not show any adverse feelings or reactions or behaviors changes, but have been sexually abused?
We have some of the most happiest children come through the Kids Talk program. They're fun, we laugh, we have a good time, we sing, but we can also get good information, truthful information from them. Not everyone that come to Kids Talk is sad.
Okay, here's again a question for your expertise. If the parents did not want to take their child to the Kids Talk therapist, but instead were taking the child to a therapist who was not skilled in abuse, can the child still recover? I think this is about recovery. How do kids recover from this?
And I would definitely encourage the parents to take the child, even if they did not want to use the Kids Talk therapist. We have other agencies that we refer out to in the Detroit metro area and in surrounding counties that do offer counseling specifically for sexual abuse for children. I think that it's really important for that counselor to be trained in that area, to be able to recognize what issues they want to approach, how they want to approach the therapy with that child.
Okay. I think this question is about you and your team providing consultation to a therapist who is seeing a child age 13 to 17, but is too old for your program. But do you ever do consultation for other therapists working with kids who have had these issues?
Yes, and
Go ahead.
I just wanted to say that we do receive outside referrals through other therapists, other counseling agencies for sexual abuse therapy. And what I will do is coordinate with that therapist and talk to them about any treatment plans that they've already developed with that person or and that family. But I would definitely encourage them to seek the therapy. I forgot the question. What's the question? I'm sorry.
I'm so sorry, I flipped my...
13 to 17,
Yes.
yes. And we do make exceptions at Kids Talk where we do therapy with kids even higher than 12 years old.
So if I'm therapist Susie at the Guidance Center, and I'm working with a little inappropriate age kid, a 10-year-old, and already passed, something happened when she was 5, are any of your team available if I have questions or I need some consultation in how to work with that child? I think that's the kind of thing people are wondering about. This is such a rare expertise. We don't all have that. And yet, we know the prevalence, I mean, your statistics are just shocking. 1 in 3 girls. So all of us out there are working with children and families. may be running into this more often than we even realize. And where do we go for support? Where do we go to learn how to be a better therapist with kids and families that present this problem? Any?
We will. You can always come and talk to us and
Okay.
consult and get information that might be useful for you to use in your practice. We'll never turn you away. I do want to clarify this, though. Although we interview children 12 and under who's made allegations of sexual abuse, our therapy is a little different because IDA can see children all the way through 17. So if there's a child that fits our criteria through 17, IDA can see them.
Great, thanks for clarifying that. This question is wondering how you can work with teachers in a school setting to help children who may be acting out in the classroom with sex. Now, I'm going to take this two ways because I'm going to guess. So they may have had that experience of being sexually abused, or they may be seeing sexually behavior acting out in the classroom. Can you work with people in the schools?
Well, we can. What we do, and what we're starting to do is we have a couple of presentations lined up to go out and talk about sexual abuse and signs and symptoms to look for. But if you're a teacher or a staff member within the school, and if you recognize signs of abuse, we can come in and educate you on how to handle that type of disclosure. Because you're mandated reporters, I would hope you've already had the training and understand that the first thing you would do is report any signs of suspected abuse. It's better to be safe than sorry. But once that's handled, we can always come in and educate your staff about the signs and symptoms and exactly what to do if you're seeing signs and things of that nature within the school.
Okay, so we already know that in the VCE website, under resources, we're going to put how do you contact the Kids Talk program, and we're going to put up that list of easily identified behaviors. Okay, this question is about the multidisciplinary team that was referred to. Can you be specific as to who those people are? I think you've made mention to the police and protective services. Are there other people?
It's usually the police department, child protective services, our advocate is there, the forensic interviewer is there, there's a prosecutor who may be present, there could be a victim advocate who comes with the prosecutor to talk about the court process if the case is going to go to, if they think the case is going to go to trial or they're going to sign a warrant. And I think that's it. That's it.
Next question. Does your program accept Medicaid insurance? But I think the larger question is there a fee? How do people pay for this?
No fee. No, our program does not charge any money for the services that we offer, including our therapy services. They are free.
And the family has to be living in Wayne County, though.
The family has to live in Wayne County, yes.
And meet criteria. There are certain criteria that we do screen before they
Right.
actually, when they call, they're more than welcome to call us, and we ask certain questions about their insurance. And if they do fit our criteria, we would accept them. We don't turn anyone down for therapy services, though.
Okay, thank you. Next question. How do you handle it if the parent who brings the child in does not believe that the sexual abuse happened?
We're empathic. It's not we're fact-finding. We're a neutral center. Our job is to simply get the information from the child to help the disciplines in their investigation. Our judgments or opinions and what we think really doesn't matter. If it's prevalent that mom doesn't believe the child, our advocates are highly trained and they can work with mom in providing services and trying to help them understand what's really in front of them. Want to add anything else, Cassandra? that you do?
When I'm speaking with the parents, I'm not trying to find out if they believe their child or not. I'm listening to what they have to say. And if they don't believe their child, we explore that a little bit further. I don't tell them that I think they're a horrible parent at all. I let them say what they want to say. And I work with them on that. And if they don't believe their child, we work on that and we explore it further to find out why. Maybe there's a different reason. Maybe there's something going on that we're not aware of that will help the investigation go a little smoother. But we never, ever let a parent think that we think they're a horrible person. We keep everything straightforward, empathetic. They can say whatever they need to say when they're in our program.
Okay, thank you. What kind of support are you able to offer if the child is removed from the family? And what can often happen to blamed for the family breakup?
Say that last part, Kara.
Blamed for breaking up the family.
What is often blamed for breaking up the family?
What kind of support, how do you support a child who's removed from the family? So the child's removed because of the allegations, and the other family members are blaming that child for tearing the family apart.
Okay, want me to answer that? Go ahead.
I think I should.
Many times, we do run into this situation where the child may be removed from the family, and it's very upsetting to the family members, and especially to the non-offending parent who may not understand the entire process of CPS and keeping that child safe. What I would do is more or less crisis intervention with that parent, and also letting them know that this is in the best interest of your child, reassuring them that we are in support of them is what I provide for them at that time. But it's more crisis intervention, and it's also bringing that child in so that they will not keep that blame or hold that with, inside.
And if they're removed from the house, we can also keep contact with the Child Protective Service worker, and that way to ensure that the child is receiving whatever services they need.
Okay, thank you. This question is wondering about lie detector tests and our children, particularly older children, given lie detector tests, and if they are they similar to adult lie detector tests?
We don't handle lie detector tests or anything of that nature at Kids Talk. I don't know, Kelly, have you heard of children? I don't know, but that's why we do a forensic interview. It's a fact-finding interview.
Polygraphs are not
Totally
admissible in
different.
court in Michigan anyways. They are an investigative tool used by the police. I know personally 2 polygraph experts here in Wayne County, and I believe they do not polygraph juveniles unless the parent approves it. And I would think it would only be done if that child committed a violent crime and is trying to, have something believe that they would be not the victim, but a perpetrator. We certainly would never advise a victim to be polygraphed.
Thank you. In the training for forensic interviewer, I think the answer to this is, again, around children who have special needs, particularly children with hearing concerns. So when you're getting the training, how do they help you with these kinds of special needs?
The initial forensic training that's provided by the state of Michigan doesn't really address that. When you work for a forensic interview facility like Wayne County or Oakland County, they have things in place to deal with that. Obviously, we would never turn anyone away, and if we're dealing with someone in hearing impaired, we would get an interpreter. It's just, it's a given. If you think that a child is not going to be able to interact with you, you would have to get an interpreter.
Okay, and then could a person who is hearing impaired become an interviewer?
Oh, that's a good question.
Anything's possible.
Exactly.
But they would need an interpreter at all times. It probably would be difficult.
Okay, thank you. The next question is, What happens when the child won't disclose during the forensic interview, but there is some confirmation or real knowledge that the sexual abuse occurred?
That's where the officer in charge and Child Protective Services, that's where they take over. That is their job to either substantiate or disprove those allegations. It's not uncommon to have a child come into our office that has an STD, maybe impregnated. Someone has actually seen the assault take place, and the child won't talk about it. We do our best to get a disclosure. A successful interview does not always end up in disclosure, as you saw today. But that is not uncommon, and that's where we are a team. We are just one component of the investigative team.
Okay, thank you. Can you refer a 3-year-old to Kids Talk displaying many of the behaviors of sexual abuse, even though the child hasn't made an allegation?
Yes, we've done it before. We've had it because we start at 3, and if they're displaying symptoms of abuse, we'll go in and we'll do an interview to see if something has happened to the child. So that's been done before.
Okay, thank you. Kelly, can you say more about the alternative hypothesis? I mean, how do you come up with them? Are those protocol questions, or how do you do that part of the interview?
Well, you look at the allegation and you look at the age of the child, the environment that this is supposedly happening, and you try to think outside of the box. What are all the other things that this could possibly be? The majority of them are very standard. The ones that I read to you today, I use quite frequently, but there are others that I use too because I've seen everything. We have children that are in our office because there's been allegations and it's custody. A child has been led to believe that something's happened to them when in fact it hasn't. People use their children, unfortunately, as pawns in custody battles all the time. It's very unfortunate. But we are trained to recognize when a child is using their words to tell what's happened to them or using someone else's words to tell what somebody thinks has happened to them. That it's all part of the forensic interview.
Okay, thank you. Do you ever use anatomical dolls? Why or why not?
No. We don't, because Wayne County Prosecutor's Office prefers that we don't. You have to be trained specifically to use anatomical dolls. We don't use them in our program, and LaTanya could tell you maybe a little bit more about the historical reasons why we don't use those.
We've never used them, and really using the dolls, we look for specifics. We need precise details, and sometimes the dolls, although they say they're anatomically correct, they're not. And children can point all over those dolls. Some people still use them, we don't. They can point all over those dolls and give misinformation about what we hear about. So we prefer not to use them.
Okay, thank you. Is play therapy used at all? Now, I know the rest of this question means within the interview process. The interview process is very prescribed, but I'm wondering, is play therapy used in the therapy as well?
Yes, play therapy is used with the children, and a lot of times we use that in order for them to reenact what they've done or what they've experienced. They can actually show you. With the trauma-focused therapy, however, it seems to be able to really allow the child to express themselves just in a non-directive manner. A lot of times with play therapy, you're analyzing, you're looking at the play, and with the trauma-focused therapy, it's very specific as to what the child is doing, and you really get a better outcome.
Okay, thank you. I think we have a lot of people who are thinking of the mental health of children who are older, age 15 to 19, and kind of concerned about the resources available when these older children have had sexual abuse experiences early in their life. Now they're in treatment as teenagers, but are sexually acting out. Can you speak to that?
Well, we know that after experiencing child sexual abuse, there are some behaviors that are more risky that children do. They may act out in a manner where they are practicing unsafe sex. They may turn to drugs. They may turn to alcohol. So it's very key that they get some type of therapy, and especially if that comes out that they have been sexually abused, and more often than not, it will come out in those sessions.
Okay. This question is wanting to know the definition of voyeurism. So could you speak more about what that is? How does that get involved in this crime?
For example, if a child is taking a shower and this parent or perpetrator is watching them take a shower, or this perpetrator is asking them to take off their clothes, any form of watching a child in any inappropriate manner sexually would be considered sexual abuse. It doesn't seem as if it may be as serious, but it is.
Okay, thank you. I think this question is about training around the forensic interview. So I think people are interested in having that training. So we'll put that information as well. LaTanya,
Where
you
they
and
can
I
go
can get
to get the
together
training.
and get that information so that you can seek out that training. Do you want to just say it out loud where people get that training?
We go on the PAM website. I don't know the
It's
MyCats.
MyCats, MICATS.org, or just Google PAM, PAAM, Michigan, and it will come up, the prosecutor's office. And they list trainings there, and they update it very frequently.
I think the next one is coming up in April. I think it's coming up in April.
Okay.
And they fill up fast, so you all probably should really take advantage of that because they really fill up fast.
Are those done here in Michigan?
They are. They're in Lansing and what's some other, Grand Rapids. They're all over.
So maybe we can get all that information. Do you
Absolutely.
have the schedule ahead of do you know
Well, if they go on the website, the schedule for
Okay.
the year.
So say the website again out loud slowly.
I'm sorry, it's PAAM. If you Google that, it will come up in Michigan. And it's also MyCats, MICATS.org.
And what does PAM stand for? I'm sorry.
Prosecuting Association of Michigan.
Okay.
Prosecuting
so we covered that.
Association of Michigan.
Okay, this is a question that it needs some helpful information. Protective Service was not able to substantiate a case. The parent still believes her 5-year-old daughter is being sexually abused. Where could she go for help as the courts are continuing visitation with the father at this time? The child is displaying several symptoms of being abused, but isn't able to talk with anyone. This family lives in Washtenaw County. And
First,
this is not an uncommon thing.
It's not. The first thing, Washtenaw have a child advocacy center in place. And I would urge you to start there. Contact that advocacy center, and perhaps their advocates or the people that work over there can get them connected to law enforcement. They can kind of call over to Child Protective Services and find out why that case was denied. and then start to get other services in place. Maybe, because there's child custody, then perhaps they need a mediator, and then some of those issues could come out over in Washtenaw.
Thank you. And our last request is a copy of that poem that you read so eloquently.
I would give it to Carol,
Okay.
and she can post it on the website as well.
Okay.
Yep.
Well, I just want to thank you all so much. You have given us such great insight and information
Thank
to this
you.
very difficult topic.